Okay, well,
Hello, citizens of YouTube land.
hey,
It's your president and your VP. And we're back with another banger for you guys today. This time it's The Crow, which premiered May 13th, 1994. And it stars Brandon Lee as the titular character. And it's based off of a comic book by James O'Barr.
mm-hmm. So, the comic book was written and basically drawn after James O'Barr had his fiancee taken away from him in a drunk driving accident. And he wrote and drew the comic as a result to help with the grief of the loss of that. And you can obviously see that throughout the movie The Crow.
It was produced for a budget of $23 million and it made an astonishing $94 million. And that's astonishing because we're talking about an independent film here that really had no distribution there for a long time because there were a number of reasons why, but they just decided to pass on it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I want to talk about first and foremost is the character of the Crow itself. And guys, after hearing and seeing so much of the inclusion of superheroes and genres and ethnicities into the Marvel characters and whatnot, well, I got to tell you guys something, a little secret. The Crow is a superhero for everybody, as the story can literally be fitted and adapted toward any genre, any gender, any ethnicity. All you have to have is that the Crow sleeps with the fishes and then is resurrected and has to get revenge. That's all you need. Because listen, if you want a little girl to be your Crow, you can. If you want a transgender Crow, you can. If you want a Jewish Crow, you can. And the reason why I say you can is because it's already been done. So, for those of you who are looking for a superhero that you can identify with, go out and search out your own Crow.
Yeah, honestly though, because like the Crow itself can literally be anyone. In fact, you've had a Crow character where it was an African American Crow who died during the Civil War.
Yes. Now, let's get into the movie itself, though, because it's a banger of a movie, guys.
First and foremost, we have to address this because we did it for Rosemary's Baby because of who the director was for that. And this one of the production companies behind The Crow is in fact Dimension Films, which is part of Miramax. And if you know Miramax, that's actually a Weinstein-owned company. And, well, let's just say they're human garbage, and we're able to separate the producers this time from the art. So let's just get on with the review because screw those guys.
Yeah, so it's basically Brandon Lee plays Eric Draven. And Eric Draven has a girlfriend, and they live in the city of Detroit. And Eric is he's like a poet, rock star type of guy. And he's got a bit of a comical side because they show that he can like goof around, has this mask, and he's all boo, and she's all ah. But that's neither here nor there. That's important though because the mask directly influences the face makeup later. So, anyways, Eric, he suffers a very horrible fate in which he sleeps with the fishes because
a group of ruffians decides to chuck him out a window.
Yeah.
And he decides to take the 4-story drop.
Yeah. So he's sleeping with the fishes, and this takes place on a holiday that is a real-life holiday that encourages and embraces anarchy and violence, and we in no way, shape, condone nor endorse such behavior, but the real-life holiday is Devil's Night. It's the night before Halloween, and vandalism, anarchism, and reigns supreme. And this is very important to the plot because in Detroit, they take things to another level on Devil's Night, as we had just talked about, because it wasn't just Eric that suffered a horrible fate. It was also his girlfriend. And the reason
Actually, it's
why
not his girlfriend; it's his fiance.
and the reason why that both of them suffer these horrible fates is because they had the gall to complain about the living conditions of the apartment building that they lived in.
Yep, they're like, oh hey, are you the one who sent this complaint to us? And so basically, guys, they were gonna rough her up, and they also did something else to her. But then Eric walked in, and so they rough them up and then chuck them out a window.
So the fiance has a niece named Sarah, and she also has a sister who, in fact, is involved with one of the ruffians. And this is important because we flash forward to a year later, and things are even worse because it's basically always raining. And this is important too, the fact that it's always raining, because he comes back, does Eric, and he's basically like a Frankenstein monster at this point, but the Crow has resurrected him, and slowly but surely he's going to get his vengeance on each and every one of them.
The first guy he decides to go after, and who happens to be victim number one of the Crow, is a guy named Tintin.
Yeah.
And he sold Eric's fiance's ring to a pawn shop. And so what he does is that basically what he does to the guy is he takes all of his knives and then basically just each and every one of them into his chest.
And yeah, kind of like crucifies him a bit. And so because he finds out that the pawn shop owner has the ring, he goes and sees the pawn shop owner. And he roughs up the pawn shop owner because the pawn shop owner is a scumbag. And the pawn shop owner tries to bang the Crow, but of course it doesn't work because the wounds just magically heal themselves. Now, another thing. This movie is very comic book accurate with a few instances, and one of them being the fact that the Crow can in fact suffer wounds. The Crow doesn't die, but the Crow still gets hurt.
Yeah, but
in the comics, in the movie, he just the wounds just magically heal themselves.
Yeah, that's also from another comic as well. They adapted that from another part of the comic.
Yeah, that's also a thing that I should tell you guys about the Crows, that the powers and abilities of the Crow vary from story to suit the narrative.
Yeah, but one thing's for certain is that they always have a cat-like agility, and they always have the power to teleport.
And they always see via the Crow.
And some powers of the Crow, they're even able to transfer pain from different people.
So anyways, back to the subject at hand. He lets the pawn shop owner live so that the pawn shop owner can give a warning to the rest of them. And so the pawn shop owner goes to the rest of the gang, and he's like, you got to do something about this guy. And he's a ghost come back to life, and he's got a crow with him. And so one thing leads to another, and he visits Rude Boy, or I forget his actual name for sure, but he's the one that's in a relationship with Sarah's mom. And this one's pretty important because he leaves him in a bathtub full of morphine and whatnot. And another ability that we didn't realize until the movie told us was that Sarah's mom, she's all scared. She runs in the bathroom. She grabs a razor blade. She's holding it, and she's in fear for her life. Brandon, a.k.a. the Crow, just casually saunters in, grabs her up, and is like, morphine is bad for you, and basically forces the drugs out of her system.
Yeah, he's like, your daughter is out on the streets waiting for you.
And so it scares her straight, actually, though, because the next morning she wakes up, she's sober, she's got a clear head on her shoulders, and she actually makes breakfast for her daughter, meaning that the relationship might be able to be mended as a result of the crow. Now,
Mm-hmm.
another plot point is the fact that the whole time that everything's happening with Eric, there's a sympathetic police officer who witnessed what happened and dug into it and was trying to investigate and figure out who did these things. He got a little too close to the truth and was busted down to beat cop because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it all leads to a big finale, a big showdown, where the crow, in fact, does get his revenge and is able to pass on. Because that is the thing about the crow. And any medium, it's always the same as far as that the crow is a vengeful spirit that has suffered a horrible fate and cannot move on until they right the wrong.
So basically, in the context of the crow, is the fact that they will always come back to right their wrong because they basically died too soon.
Yeah, and
especially when it comes to the character of Eric Draven and his fiance, because like they were supposed to live like a happy, normal life together.
Yeah,
and
it's also implied at the very end that he's reunited with her in heaven, and so happy ending for the crow. The story of Sarah continues, and if you guys want us to cover that, we'll check out Crow City of Angels, where we can investigate the story of Sarah a little bit further. Now, I will mention that the sequel, City of Angels, is definitely not nearly as good as The Crow. In fact, none of the sequels are as good as The Crow. So, the whole movie is very stylized. It's they use real crows and CGI crows, but oftentimes you can't tell that it's a CGI crow. They actually do a really good job, and in many instances, the crow itself is shrouded in shadows, and that's done on purpose, of course, to accentuate the character and also to maybe hide the fact that it's not really a real crow. So that kind of works as well, and it is Detroit. Oh, and I should also point out that once the crow starts enacting his vengeance, the rain stops, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a big thing.
As soon as he's gotten his revenge, the rain stops.
Yeah, but until then, it had been raining nonstop. So it's a very well-directed movie. And also, for those of you who do not know, The Crow is, in fact, your first R-rated superhero film.
Mm-hmm.
So it walked so that a movie like Blade and the other R-rated superhero movies that have come later could rock.
Yep.
So there's that as well. It's very significant in that. And Brandon, of course, puts on the powerhouse performance. And it's kind of a shame, and it's a really sad, and rest in peace, because also, this was Brandon's last movie because he died on set, guys.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, and it would have been fun to see where he could have possibly taken the character of Eric Draven next, because in the comics, although he gets his revenge, he is brought back a couple of times to help other crows. So there's that. Now, how do I feel and what about the rating for this one? 5 out of 5. What say you?
It's also a 5 out of 5.
It is definitely worth your time. If you have never seen it, go out, check it out. It's available on all kinds of streaming services. If you have seen it and it's just been a long time, also go out and check it out, because you can find it on streaming services. It's available on VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, and Blu-ray, and 4K Ultra. So
yeah,
there's no reason not to go out and check it out for yourself, guys. If you're in the mood for a moody, gritty, dark superhero fantasy, can't go wrong.
Yeah.
But of course, as always, if you have seen The Crow and you believe that it is the worst superhero film of all time, then clearly you have not seen Howard the Duck.
Oh, wow. I was going to go with something else, but I forgot that Howard the Duck still existed.
Well, there you go. But of course, as always, just remember, we're just two idiots with a webcam. Our opinions do not matter, except they actually do, because we have a YouTube show, except they actually don't. So, having said all that, guys, we'll see you guys next time, where it's going to be TMNT, 1990 version, where we might have a fun little debate on concerning the cartoons that come during the movies of run era and afterwards.
Hey, don't you get started on this, because...
Yeah. Save it for the video.
Okay.
But anyways, guys, that's all the time we have for today. And we'll see you guys for that one. And then, of course, join us and be ready, because we have...
At the time of this recording, because this may come out tomorrow, probably. But at the time of this recording, we're only 1 week away.
We have a big surprise. You guys are going to love this video that we got coming up. It's going to be awesome. Stay tuned. We cannot be more excited for what's to come for you guys and for us. It's going to be an exciting time, and we'll see you guys then. And of course, there's only one thing left to say, and that is
peace and love from Denny and Son. Bye.